Top of the morning, y'all. Hope you're doing good. I want to tell you right now, this may be one of the most important videos that I've done all year long. We've all heard about the red heifer sacrifice. We've heard about the symbolism, and I have taken about 3 or 4 weeks to study this because this ain't something you just start talking about unless you know exactly what you're saying, unless you understand the historical background to it. And so I really hope this rocks you today like it did me. My insides were starting to shake yesterday just absorbing the reality of how serious this actually is. First off, I want to mention our sponsor, Allegiance Gold. We all want to be on the streets of gold someday. I always thought it was very important to take a percentage of my income and put it into gold because so many other countries are doing it and the dollar is absolutely tanking. There are qualified purchases right now that are getting $5,000 in free silver. So go to protectwithbuddy.com. I'll put the link below. All right, y'all. I've heard about the rebuilding of the third temple by the Jews all my life. What I never imagined is that it would not only happen in my lifetime, in your lifetime, but it was going to start in motion next month. That's right. On Passover 2024, the Jews plan on sacrificing the red heifer. We'll get into why in just a second. But first, a little disclaimer. Whether you're a Christian, a backslider, a seeker, this event right here, this sacrifice by the Jews on the Mount of Olives will affect you and everyone around us this year if they actually carry this out. I want to make sure it doesn't matter if you're into this prophecy stuff. It doesn't matter if you're watching March Madness and you're just hooked on that. It doesn't matter if you just caught up in politics. This red heifer thing will affect you and me and everyone around us this very year. So I want to get that out there. If the Jews are going to build this third temple, which is what they want to do that, they literally have to sacrifice a red heifer by order of the instructions in Exodus chapter 19 on the Mount of Olives, okay? They're doing this ceremony because all the tools they use to build the third temple have to be cleansed, and the only way they believe they can do that is to sacrifice a spotless, blemishless red heifer. There hasn't been a sacrifice on the Mount of Olives in 2,000 years. If y'all needed to understand how serious this whole thing is. Now that that's been said, this video is about to go in a totally different direction than anything you've seen. It pains my heart that when people talk about the red heifers, they don't mention the rest of it, the ramifications of what we're actually talking about here. So understand this, y'all. As much as this has to happen for Bible prophecy, this is a very, very bad thing they're doing because it's not only a declaration of World War III against the whole Muslim world, but it's going to eventually usher in Armageddon and then the Antichrist. Now here's something y'all might know because I sure as heck didn't. When the terrible attacks on Israel hit October 7th last year, the Hamas spokesman justified it by saying it was in response to, ready for this? The presence of the red heifers being brought there in the first place and Jewish prayer on top of the Temple Mount. So if the Jews actually do this sacrifice, the Muslims know the next step is to knock the Dome of the Rock Mosque off the top, which is going to spread into absolute pandemonium because biblically that's where it has to sit. And it's not just a cow, and it don't matter if you believe it scripturally or not because the Jews believe it scripturally and the Muslims believe it scripturally. They know exactly what this threat is. So it's not if, but when the Dome of the Rock gets touched, we could see the most incredible violence come over Israel that we've ever seen in our entire lifetime. And we're talking about the next 30 days. So consider this, y'all. If Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th and it was that bad over the mere presence of the red heifers being there, imagine what they would do if this sacrifice was actually carried out. Way worse than that, though. Imagine how much this enrages God because in an Old Testament sacrifice being carried out in 2024 when Jesus is the perfect sacrifice, John 18:36, Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world." So why are they building a temple? Jesus is the new covenant with Israel. The sacrifice of a red heifer is no longer needed, it's no longer useful, and God does not accept payment of sacrifices of animals anymore. Jesus, the sinless Messiah who was sacrificed and who's also been raised from the dead, he is the only sacrifice that God is willing to accept for payment of our sins at this point. Bottom line. So y'all can see the huge problem with the Jews' rejection of Jesus and sacrificing the red heifer as if to say Christ isn't enough. Now, I know there are Messianic Jews who believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I feel like they're going to be the remnant in Israel. But for those Jews that reject the truth and they're trying so hard to rebuild this third temple because it's going to usher in their so-called Messiah, they'll get their Messiah all right, but it ain't going to be who they're looking for. Now, can y'all imagine God's perspective on this whole thing? I sent my one and only son to y'all. He was perfect. You killed him. It was right there in your country. You saw it with your own eyes. It happened right on your watch with your hands. This is over 2,000 years later. He was the perfect sacrifice, and y'all are still trying to sacrifice a cow in 2024? This is why I feel like it's going to bring wrath. While I was making this video, I thought maybe God looks at this whole thing like border agents look at intercepting 1,000 pounds of fentanyl at the border. It's poison, and the carriers of the drug are going to be punished. Now, for the drug dealer, well, the red heifers came from the state of Texas, which would make Texas the dealer. In my opinion, I was just thinking about it, it's going to be very, very interesting to watch and see how God deals with Texas, if at all. I don't know. I'll be doing part 2 on this video during or right after Passover, if we're still here by then, because there's going to be a lot to talk about. What a privilege to be alive right now. I really hope this video helps you out and shows you what you need to be prayerful and mindful of moving into the next 30 days. God bless y'all. Be good.